Okay.
All right, we're in the
Still
kitchen.
Monday. It's a public holiday, but we're here and kicking, of course. So, I mean, a whole lot of things happened over the weekend, and I found something very interesting to talk about, which was actually the fact that, I mean, Don Jazzy's mom was buried over the weekend. Of course, it was an elaborate celebration of life and event. Some people would call it a carnival because, I mean, everybody who's somebody was there. And of course, I think Nothing I've mentioned as well is the fact that a lot of people went on about the fact that he just shared Ashrabi without payment, people paying for it, and it came with souvenirs as well. Anyways, that's not the topic. A picture and video actually went viral on the internet that had Pretty Mike with his usual suspects, girls that actually follow him around in a particular costume. Mazino, can you help me describe it?
Okay, so I'm looking at this costume and I'm going to try and be very, very euphemistic in my description here. These are costumes of there's 8 young, beautiful-looking ladies with white crop tops. However, the pants that they're wearing have what you can describe as what seems to be the human phallus, the male phallus, complete with all the organs, let me put it so. It's something that you can't take your eyes away from when you see it because it makes you very curious. You're like, is that even possible? Can somebody actually, you know, are you allowed to do this in public? Was a question that came to mind. I have so many questions, but I think you have more aggravating questions to ask. Let me put it that way. Because you were really upset this morning, weren't you?
Yeah.
So let me see if I can give
You want to take a look at the pictures?
a description of ladies being asked to wear, I'm going to say asked to wear, a costume that is maybe Halloween-like in nature, as to the fact that, yes, so I'm coming from this angle now.
Really
People are wearing all sorts of things every day. But this seems like it was back to front. It feels like that part in front should have been at the back. I don't know. I'm just saying.
See, let's call it what it is. Now, what he tried to represent is the male
genitalia.
Yeah, the male genitalia.
Yes.
And this is in a public forum, not just a public forum, but one that you'd expect that people would attend with reverence or respect, you know, for someone who's just passed and everything.
Yeah.
I'm not going to put it away from the fact that the person who was having this event perhaps also knew that something like this was going to happen. After all, if you invite Pretty Mike, you know what to expect. He's not going to come alone. He's going to come with all the pageantry and fanfare. Yeah. You just have to hope that it's not going to be something as gruesome as what we saw over the weekend, because that's what I think that it was. I thought it was obscene. And for such a celebration of life for someone who's just passed, it was not the right place or time to do such a thing. Yeah. I don't know if this is allowed or if there's a constitution that says that you cannot be this obscene in public.
Now, bouncing off on the castle of obscene and constitution, right? I had this conversation with some of my friends who went to law school together over the weekend, and we're talking about how, okay, so now, for instance, the criminal code on section 231 actually penalizes, what will I call it now?
Indecent exposure?
Not necessarily indecent, that's the thing. So indecent exposure or indecent dressing is not a crime, but indecent acts, right? And it's described here, let me just read it out. Willfully and without lawful excuse does any indecent act in a public place. But then again, in breaking that down, we come to 2 definitions, right? Intentional exposure of genital organs, either fully or partly, with intention to cause distress to the other party, right? That's the second description. So now the issue, or rather the conversation, was based on, okay, will you term this as the exposure of actual organs?
It's a representation.
Right?
No. It's representation.
It's representation. Now, what was the intention for that representation? So now, was this obscene, however?
Some people would find
this was art.
Oh,
some people wouldn't call it.
Yes, this was pure art.
I don't know
One
if
of
you
the
could
most
call it
famous figures in the world is the one
art.
of what's this figure now? The one in is it the Sistine Chapel?
Yeah, Leonardo da Vinci.
Yeah, with a very Okay, so my point is, based on what she read of, it was not an organ. It was a costume. And you see something about
God,
which is what. Wow, God is again. Wow, really? Wow, really? Mazino.
I'm so sorry.
with all the God
But
that
it feels like a costume. It felt like a costume.
No. I don't see. Look, there's something I have to understand here. It's that was an after party. First of all, It wasn't, and
It was a carnival. It was a festival.
Yeah,
It was
exactly.
just-
It was a party.
It was a circus, quite frankly.
yeah, and this was at an event center. This was probably the main interment was private,
Yeah, of
as it were. And then this was an after party. I invited Pretty Mike. He wanted to talk about
Mike,
it.
may I
And we are
interject
talking
there real
about
quick
it.
and very subtly?
We are talking
The truth is that when you go to the Sistine Chapel or any place where you expect to see these kinds of art that expose human parts, you know what you're going there for.
Yeah.
You won't take your 5-year-old to go see that.
Yeah, but you said something. You
However,
invited
in
Pretty
this
Mike.
case- in
You
this
don't know
case-
Pretty Mike is.
Yeah, that's my
Yes,
point.
no, but then again, the extent to
You are
which.
coming somewhere
Come
where you
on.
don't have control over the
You
environment.
do not. Where
or
people
what
actually
are going to see.
aggravated.
Yeah,
Yes,
exactly.
people were.
You would
and I
upset
think
a
that should
couple of
actually be the
people.
focus.
And people should actually take
Come on.
take responsibility and say,
yeah.
no, that is not allowed.
No.
Let's not.
And
do
they'll
that.
bounce it.
Yes.
It's not about
Not
bouncing.
about that. I
Somebody
mean,
should
if the owner of the event literally permits it, that's fine. But I'm talking about the general public. Not
Yeah.
people that were even in that gathering space. People that actually saw the picture.
So I feel like as a country, we tend to major on minors. This is really a minor.
There's so many other issues in the country
Yeah,
we should be
it's
talking
really
about.
a big minor.
If someone decides to have an entourage
No,
of...
after we'll talk about really.
I agree.
If someone decides
talking
to have
about-
an entourage of poorly dressed
And we're
women
talking about the
behind him,
morals of
It's
the
him.
state.
We can't finish this
Right?
conversation.
What
right
is
We're
now.
talking about
morals doing to
morals
us?
of the state. What is
Don't
morals
know
doing to
moral.
us?
What
Really?
is- what are you
Conversation.
doing?
I
Things
can't
happen,
believe
you
Mike
know?
and I are on the same
Wow.
page about something. This is very rare.
This conversation is too pregnant for us to
Very
just stop it here. I think we're still going to have this conversation. So if you guys want to join, send a
Exaggerated.
hashtag, use the hashtag Wake Up Nigeria on TVC. There's other things we should be talking about, like Pomo that they are banned now and all this kind of thing.
How many times have you banned it?
I know, right? Let's do a break. There's still more coming up inside of Wake Up Nigeria.